Ta-da! Okay. Voila. Look, there he is. Danny Balls, ladies and gentlemen. Lucky, lucky, lucky us. It's good old Dan Balls over here. And so Dan, the reason, I mean, there's a lot of reason to have Danny Balls on a show that very well could have Lanny Walnuts in it too if we have time. Although a lot of times Lanny has, I'm sorry, but the Flashpoint guys keep getting bumped, and I wish I could say it was because they had a point that it was irrefutable and that I was too much of a left-wing coward to go after. But the reality is they're just boring, and that's saying a lot. I mean, you know how hard you have to work to be a boring prophet. You're hilarious when you're wrong. You're absolutely miraculous in the broken clock situation that you're actually right. So how do you fuck up being a prophet? You know what I mean? How do you bore me when that's your gig? Right? Anyways, so Dan is looking a little bit perturbed today. He's looking a little. It's an overwhelm he's not enjoying. Hold on, I'm gonna shape this a little bit. I'm gonna drag this up here. I'm gonna make it a little bigger because I can, as I can bother. Because there's a bunch of this madness, and there are two. I just noticed that there are two, count them, two videos in my CSL punk list today where he intentionally tortures me with clips because it's increasingly hard, like we've said, to get clips to me that I haven't already seen. And so for me to to raw dog some of these clips, I have to have never experienced them before. And that's really difficult when you are as aware of everything as I am and as, whatever. The only stuff I haven't seen is, like, some clips will come up and it's, not only have I already seen the clip, I already saw the whole episode of the Dinesh D'Souza podcast that it came from, that kind of stuff, which is horrifying. But it's one of the reasons why I'm so confident in my rebuttals, is because I watch what these numbnuts say all the time. I know exactly what they're going to say a lot of times because they are unoriginal and idiotic, and they're also easily confused and stupefied. So I hope you're enjoying the new graphics. I dusted them up just for you guys so that the road show would look somewhat original and interesting. That's what I'm shooting for. It does look like he's doing a one cheek sneak. That is true. Let's hold on. And is this all right? I guess not. All right. So let's see what he has to say. I'm very excited. Keep me posted. Here we go. And his guest is Michele Bachmann. Because this is okay. So as you can see from the title, World Health Organization to consider global pandemic treaty. Okay. I don't know if anybody knows this, but the World Health Organization is already part of a world treaty on health. Okay? That's where they get their fucking name. I don't know how these people don't slam their face into, I don't know how they don't close their head in the refrigerator door every day when they're getting orange juice. You know what I mean? So, Danny Balls, who is currently leaning to the right and farting on his staff, who's over that way? I don't know. Which way am I pointing? I don't have enough screen space. That way. He's obviously farting on his right-hand neighbor. Here we go. Let's see how this turns out.
At their 75th World Health Assembly, which happens in Geneva, Switzerland, the WHO...
75 times they've gotten together to deal with the treaties that they've already had and that they currently have regarding how countries relate with infectious disease.
We'll discuss the possibility of a global pandemic treaty. Did you hear me? Leave the title up. I want people to see it and hear it and let it sink in.
By the way, to discuss global pandemic treaty, they already have a global pandemic treaty. They're just talking about changes to it. They're going to update it. Because I don't know if you know this, but technology has updated in the last 17 months.
What they're trying to do. The nations attending will assemble and they're going to debate then whether or not all.
Yeah, so all the treaty parties to the World Health Organization will get together and they'll look at the proposals and they'll hash out the language in the proposals. Remember the whole thing we did about the Paris Accord where it said everybody will do their best and if it'll wreck your economy, don't do it? And everybody's like, they're going to take over, they're going to make us all use electric cars. Oh, God. The video volume is low. I beg your pardon. I will try and bring that up. Let me do something about that, if I may. And here we go.
The nations that are involved in the WHO will adopt the treaty that would prohibit individual nations from making their own decisions.
That's not true at all, by the way.
Instead, we and everybody will have to follow these clowns at the WHO and their orders. Are you cool with that? I'm sure as hell not.
Oh, whatever.
In the UK, more than 125,000 individuals have signed a petition already opposing the possible treaty.
125,000 individuals in the entire UK? Gasp. There's not 125,000 lunatics in the UK. Brexit, right?
What have you been doing? Many nations fear the treaty will give the WHO so much power, going to benefit them, and guess who else? China.
Yes, we're all going to have, it's international Shanghai lockdowns for everyone. Also, if I may, hold on one second. I don't know if you guys know this. Message scrubbed from Chinese internet. Sorry. We got your message. Let's see. Hold on. I have to find a better way to order. Okay. WHO censored in China. Yeah. Grasp what this asshole just told you. Think about it for just a couple of seconds. Just give it a bit of a go. And then, if I may, let's read this together. Hold on. It's saying this. It's going to take a second. The internet here is pretty crap. For whatever reason. Go. Do it. I don't know why we're waiting. Well, hell, I'll just look it up while we're doing it. It might pop up on its own, but we shall see what we shall see. Give me 1 second. I'm going to bring this up. For some reason, is not I can't link my iPad to my laptop through the Wi-Fi here because it's just too choppy, which it normally hooks up immediately, and I use it as a second screen, even though it's long in the tooth and failing. Let me show you this, if I may. Pull this screen up. Okay, again, let me take you back. Remember where you were when you saw Danny Balls telling you that the purpose of the leader of what the WHO is looking to do is to make us all like China. Hold on. Jesus Christ, this is stupid. It must make me look at the... I just want to see the article title. Stop it. Quit it. Here we go. Here we go. This is it. Let me slide this down here. WHO's chief censored on China's internet after calling zero COVID unsustainable. The whole policy of lockdowns, which is what what China has been doing, why Shanghai has been closed down, why people have been wailing in the night, and why they've had drones flying around telling people to mute their dreams and all that kind of shit, all this nightmaric dystopian horse shit. The WHO says it doesn't work. You can't run on zero COVID. You can't permanently lock down places. You can't even operate under that. He went on and said it. And you know what happened? The Chinese government, at the orders of Xi Jinping, not only disagreed with him, they scrubbed all mention of it from the Chinese internet. You're not allowed to talk about it, and if it pops up, it gets erased immediately. Meanwhile, friggin' where is it? Oh, which one of these? Oh, God, it's terrible. Meanwhile, this douchebag says that what the WHO wants for all of us is Chinese-style lockdowns. And what the WHO just asked for was the opposite of that, and China censored them for it. There's a very strong chance that China is only going to be in the WHO as an early warning system for other countries from now on. I'll show you in a second. What a dipshit. Okay.
Because we know the WHO's been in bed with China.
No, they haven't.
My first guest tonight, Dean of the Robertson School of Government, Michele Bachmann, says this pandemic
Dean of the Robertson School, the Pat Robertson School of Government,
is seriously bad news. And every American should be worried, concerned, and they should be letting their elected officials know they're worried about it right now. This is coming next week, folks.
Yeah, panic. Panic about this. This is what you should do. You should panic.
Let's welcome Michele Bachmann to the program.
I can't bring myself to. It would be fake of me. I can't welcome her. That would be rude because I'm just not feeling welcoming.
Michele, thank you so much for coming on Real America. This is a big concern. This is probably
one of the biggest gaps in intelligence that two human beings have ever faced when sitting separated by, I don't know where the fuck he does this show, 800 miles and 800 brain cells between them that we've ever seen on camera.
One of the biggest stories that I've received the most emails and direct messages about.
Yes, that's because you get a shit ton of Russian bots trying to create panic waves in the United States, and you and the Queen of Dipshits fall for it every time.
And videos, and it's all videos of you speaking out about it over the last few weeks.
Yes, because there aren't any sane people talking like this.
Warning the American people, this could go down next week in Geneva. And
yeah, and does it strike you as odd that the only person warning you about this is a woman with a gay husband who worked towards conversion therapy camps?
Next time we have one, what if monkeypox that just hit Massachusetts is the next one?
Well, then we should just let it run amok, I guess. What if it's the next one? Like, I guess ignore it. I'm not going to stop going to the movies just because of monkeypox. I mean, hey, if there's an airborne syphilis that attacks your spine, and I'm just going to, I'm going to go to Chili's or Cracker Barrel for America.
And we give it to the WHO, then they're going to dictate our response.
No, they aren't.
That's insane to me.
Yes, it would be insane. Because you'd have to be insane to believe that.
And that's why people need to be concerned about that. And people shouldn't feel bad that they didn't know about it. That was by design.
Yes, it's a secret plan. They're coming for you, Barbara.
This was meant to pass under the radar. There are two things that I want to make a distinction of.
Yes.
One is the pandemic treaty. The pandemic treaty appears will be discussed in Geneva, Switzerland, May 22nd. That's this Sunday through May 28th.
Right.
Then it presumably will be voted on in 2024.
Yeah. In 2024. They're developing a strategy for worldwide pandemics. And apparently, no one gave this asshole at the WHO a memo on moraying shirts on camera.
The upper deck item that we need to be.
Yes, the WHO is going to give America an upper decker, and we won't know until it's too late and we flush.
Worried about is the fact that also at this same Geneva, Switzerland conference, May 22nd through 28th, there's international health rules that the United States is already a part of.
Right. By the way, Title 42, you know the thing that they're mad at Biden for trying to rescind as we leave COVID, that make people have to stay in their home countries, and you can use it as a way to expel immigrants. Title 42 is legal on under international law because of the WHO rules. Do you see how these assholes can't even decide which side of bigotry they want to be on. The UN Charter says that people have the right to freely move amongst free countries. They can live in whatever country they can afford to live in. Your country can't deny you a passport to go to another country. Another country can deny you entry because of visa stuff. But if you want to go there and that country will have you, your country can't keep you in your country and not allow you to leave. That's against the law. Okay. These assholes want that rescinded, apparently.
These amendments that the Biden administration is proposing.
Dear God, the Biden administration is proposing to make us more like China.
Be to the international health rules. So that means that this is.
Yeah, by the way, again, this would make Title 42 more robust and less specific to an internationally recognized pandemic, which somebody like Trump, by the way, would clamor to use.
Not a treaty, and this vote doesn't have to come back to the United States Senate for a 2/3 vote. Treaties.
Right. By the way, Glenn Beck is panicking about this. We'll see this in a second. They're all saying the exact same stupid talking points.
Have to be voted on by the U.S.
We're already part of the treaty. These are modifications. We agree as a partner to be involved in the negotiation of modifications of these kind of things, for fuck's sake.
And receive a 2/3 vote per our Constitution, but not the international health rules. We went into the
because they're not part of a treaty, and they're not. We don't give up sovereignty to have those rules. That's international rules, not inside your country. If your people want to travel to other places, people can deny you the right to. They can shut down travel from your country. And by the way, most of these rules, most of these addendums, most of these additions are being added specifically because of China's behavior during the early part of COVID. I'll show you in a second. Fucking hell.
National health rules a long time ago. They were a part of the World Health Organization in 2005. So here's a couple of things that people need to know. These proposed amendments from the Biden administration expand the power of the man that you're looking at, Tedros. Mm-hmm. He is a highly controversial.
Yes, because you guys have Fauci'd him, and he's playing ducks and drakes with a bunch of these countries that are not fair partners. Everyone was under the illusion for the last at least 10 years. Before that, you could say it was a legitimate belief. But under the last 10 years, they've been under the illusion that the Chinese government is a fair player in a lot of these situations. It has not been. It isn't now for fucking sure, but it hasn't been for the last 10 years. It's just been, playing the victim at times or playing nice on in other areas so that they can take advantage of a situation. That's how they manipulated the WHO, and it's how they manipulated the greater world market. And we had so much benefit from having production there that people just took it. And now other countries are not taking it anymore, so the WHO is no longer having to kowtow to the CCP.
Activist Marxist, he was discredited in his home country of Ethiopia because he tried to cover up data regarding a prior epidemic and pandemic. But he was the perfect man for China.
Set a thief to catch a thief?
China to choose to be their spokesman at the World Health Organization. And so he's not officially China's spokesman, but he's effectively.
He met with everyone in the World Health Organization. All right. I am tired of photographs like this, even the ones that are used against Trump and other people, where it's clearly a photo line or a photo op, where they have meetings as look, there he is standing with that guy. Fucking hell.
China's spokesman.
Yeah, she would rather have Ron DeSantis.
The United States supplies the most money to the World Health Organization.
Yeah, we have the most money in the world. we do.
Which is the health.
We also have the most to lose because we have been for the last 35 years specifically basing our economic growth on international trade, of which we are the crux point for everyone.
Healthcare arm of the United Nations, and China pays maybe half of what we pay. But China loves this guy, Tedros.
Yeah.
Because
no, they don't. As I just showed you, they might have before, not anymore. Because that's how it works. And a lot of these rules that are going to be voted on are going to be voted on, and China will vote against them. Curiously enough, whatever Michele Bachmann is saying right now, China is going to vote the way Michele Bachmann would want on all of these rules. The fascinating part is that they scrubbed everything he said about zero COVID. Or is it the head of the World Health Organization is being censored on China's internet after questioning the sustainability of the country's zero COVID policy. The censorship on Weibo and WeChat, China's two largest social media platforms, targets WHO Director Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus. Comments that expressed rare disagreement with Beijing's policies. When we talk about the zero COVID strategy, we don't think that it is sustainable considering the behavior of the virus now and what we anticipate in the future. Tedros told a media briefing Tuesday, citing the increased transmissibility of Omicron. We have discussed the issue with Chinese experts, and we indicate that the approach will not be sustainable. I think a shift will be very important. Meanwhile, the Chinese scrubbed all that from the internet, are committing to it. How he does a show from San Diego. Yes, I'm in San Diego right now. We'll get
he covered up for communist China all through the COVID pandemic.
We know that.
He
We
was
reported
there
on
for
it.
We know that. I don't know what I even said it. Because basically he was giving them the benefit of the doubt, and they did provide the genome for the actual disease early on. But, Donald Trump said they were doing a very professional job. So, we waited until he was done, until he got mad at them, and then we started shitting on him.
That's right. He was there for 5 years in that position as Director General. Just this year, he was re-upped for another 5 years. He is the person specifically in these amendments who will be empowered, one person, to make the unilateral.
That's not true at all either. You don't make universal power. All he has is the trigger point. We decide, and the world decides next week in this gathering. That actually starts Monday, tomorrow. Anyways, technically whatever, doesn't matter. Sunday. We decide what these steps are, and then he carries them out to the letter of the law within that, because we all agree on them. Because he's basically a traffic cop for these rules, getting the information that comes in. It also shortens the time frame. Here, all right. Well, I want to show you one more before I get into the actual changes.
Paul, whether or not, for instance, with monkeypox, if we have a public health emergency of international concern.
Yes, of international concern. He decides whether it's of international concern based on these standards established within the previous charter and the updated rules. And it's not even whether you have it or not, it's the rule of how to deal with it internationally.
He makes that designation even against our will. Then he can put into effect.
Yes, and mainly, again, against China's will. America does not have a situation where we don't give a rat fuck. Normally, when we don't have somebody like Trump in office, there's never a moment where we just randomly don't give a fuck about an epidemic in our country, or we hide it from the world. That's not how we operate. It's never really how we've operated. We've always scrambled to deal with these things. It's why we've been on the cutting edge of dealing with most of these things. It's why we don't, but for religious nutcases like Michele Bachmann and her ilk, have measles and stuff like that under control all the fucking time.
A call for sanctions.
Oh, 666 in the super chat. Thank you, Andrea. We have 666 people in the YouTube chat right now. Once we hit that number, a $6.66 super chat would really be helpful to help us buy 666 Fifth Avenue. I know what you're thinking. How you can't afford to buy 666 Fifth Avenue. Hey, neither did Jared Kushner, and that never stopped him. So feel free to help out the show, like and subscribe, or you can use do I have the super? I forget what I put above my head. Yeah, that's the Venmo. That's above me. There's also on the regular screen is the this guy. Yeah, that's the Cash App one. So depending on what screen you're on, when I'm on, whatever you use, you can help me. Now, back to the show.
Lions, travel bans. He could work together with other organizations.
Look, Dan's not having it. It's too much. Too much for Dan.
To the UN, the world.
Oh, Dan. Come on. What do you think's gonna happen over here? You're not gonna look if you got monkeypox, you're not even gonna want to get on a plane or you're not going to go on a cruise when you've got the monkey packs. Nobody's going to want to get in the hot tub with you if you look like you're covered in hazelnuts. Come on now. What are you going to do? Charter a submarine when you got the croup? Come on.
Trade Authority organization, the agriculture organization under the UN. He also can work with so-called...
Yeah, in case you have an outbreak of a pestilence in any of your plants that might cause blight in the world and starve millions of people. Fucko.
Affected countries. If some countries charge that the United States is responsible for climate change or gun violence or white nationalism...
Yes, they're going to declare a pandemic of white nationalism, and under what's that? Fucking hell. Yes, we're a major export. It's contagious. American white nationalism is contagious. That's why we've decided to shut down Germany forever. I guess that's and since the third highest threat of domestic violence, or domestic terrorism rather, in the United States is black nationalism, I guess Tedros is going to, according to Michele Bachmann, wall off Africa. Good fucking Lord.
Presumably Tedros could say that we are causing a public health emergency of international concern.
Right.
These other countries...
No, you can't. They specifically talk about disease, like contagious, like this. The World Health Organization talks about like life expectancy based on, food deserts and shit like that. But they're not going to say like they've got a shortage of baby formula in the United States, so therefore mothers can't travel to other countries because women will cause a shortage of baby formula in other countries. Like, what kind of doofy bullshit?
Would get data from us, and he could force us to give up things like genome sequencing.
Yes. Give up genome sequencing. Fucko of the disease. God damn it. All right, here, can we jump into this right now? These are the changes that are being talked about. This is the actual treaty that exists, because we're not creating a new treaty from scratch. These are modifications. See that heavy part, the heavy text, the underlined part? This stuff has already been in place. Proposed amendments to the International Health Regulations 2005. These already exist. Under the treaty of the existing organization, the health regulations are part of our working group. We don't have to sign off on every rules change as a new individual treaty. Like, this is just fucking stupid. So, all right. I'll show you some of the major changes, but this is okay. This capacity, they're going to develop a detection and assessment system, which, by the way, we had with the pandemic response team, and we already have within the CDC. We have a Center for Disease Control already. As a matter of fact, ours is the template, the existence of a CDC. This basically says every country who's a member of the WHO has to have a CDC of their own. They can't rely on us to do their disease detection. Fucking hell. This capacity will be periodically reviewed through the Universal Health Periodic Review Mechanism. Should such reviews identify response constraints and other challenges in attaining these capacities, WHO and its regional offices shall, upon the request of the state party, that means whatever country, provide or facilitate technical support or assist in mobilization of financial resources to develop, strengthen, and maintain such capacities. So if you're a poor country and you're in the WHO and you can't afford to have a CDC the way America can, the WHO will gather funds from NGOs or from other countries or member countries of the WHO and help you build an early warning system so the rest of us don't have to wait until monkeypox escapes and gets through the fucking country. Okay, smart move, one would think. This is a new segment to Article 5. The World Health Organization shall develop early warning criteria for assessing, progressively updating the national, regional, or global risk posed by an event of unknown causes or sources, and shall convey the risk assessment to state parties, everybody involved, in accordance with Articles 11 and 45, where appropriate, with those evil, draconian, fascistic words, where appropriate, the risk assessment shall indicate, based on the best available knowledge, the level of risk of potential spread and risk of potential serious public health impacts based on assessed infectiousness and severity of illness. So they're going to let you know. If they hear about it in any of the countries, they're going to create very quickly an assessment document. They're not going to dick around or let one country stonewall them. If they hear anything about it, they don't have to get all the information from China. They can just start their own assessment based on anything that got out. All right? Okay. All right. Hence this change. Each state party shall assess events occurring within its territory by using the decision instrument in Annex 2. That's already been there. Within 48 hours of the national IHR focal point receiving the relevant information. So you get that information. You got 2 days to gather it and tell it. Oh my gosh, did what happened? Did somebody super chat me like crazy? What happened? Wow, Murray. Oh, that's, yeah, South African Rands. Thank you for being less expensive than therapy, funnier than fuck, and more informative than the directions on shampoo. I try. And, yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, it's 42 US and it's a lovely gift and it's wonderful. And 42 is, of course, the name of my Masonic Lodge and the number of my Masonic Lodge and, of course, the answer to life, the universe, and everything. Coincidence? I think not. Okay, the Food and Agriculture Organization, the FAO, Schwartz, and the World Organization of Animal Health, OIE, and this is what kind of she was jabbering about, and the UN Environment Program and other relevant entities of the WHO shall immediately notify the relevant entities, the IAEA, which is the International Atomic Energy Association, which was the linkage between a bunch of these things up to that point, relevant entities. So they will now call the CDC in the United States. They will call whatever the British, the NHO in England or whatever it's called, NHS, the National Health Service. They will inform they'll have a list. It's a phone tree of all the relevant health organizations in all these countries. And if they don't have one, they'll help you build one. And then they will call them for, oh, fuck me. This is so, like, listen, what an asshole. All right, let's see. Maybe there's something in here. Maybe I'm just blind to how fascistic and dangerous and psychotic these new changes are. Okay, here we go. Following the notification, a state party shall continue to communicate to WHO by the most efficient means of communication available. Guys, if you can't reach somebody on the phone, email them, text them, send them, load it to the WHO site, and they will download all the relevant data to them. You can load it in 3 different points, but get it to them. Don't fucking telegram somebody that there's I'm going to send you a letter. Basically, this is the problem. Written letters are the organizational government structure within the government structure of some countries where you have to send a written signed letter. And they included that internally in their countries. You can do whatever the fuck you want. But when you're sending information to the WHO, don't send it snail mail, fucko. All right. Now, this is the part she's freaking out. Timely, accurate, and sufficiently detailed public health information available on its notified event where possible. Dear God. I mean, the draconian evil language of this is vicious. Where possible, including genetic sequence data, case definitions, laboratory results, source and type of the risk, number of cases and deaths, conditions affecting the spread of the disease, and the health measures employed. And report when necessary, oh God, not when necessary, the difficulties faced and support needed in responding to the potential public health emergency of an international concern. The genetic sequence data is of the fucking disease. Whatever it is that's spreading. If your country has the capability of going, we have this particular type of flu or bird flu or whatever, and it's getting there, this is the genome. So everybody's pharmacy companies and all their universities and all their DOD anti-biological weapons labs and all their whoever they have that fights off infectious disease can get the genome immediately and start working on some sort of a cure or treatment as fast as fucking possible. It's genetic data. They're going to send over our genetic data. Meanwhile, these motherfuckers, they want to track down women who've had a fucking abortion, but tell me about medical privacy. The whole fucking removal of Roe v. Wade. If you're ever going to reach a point where the United States has to upload the genetic data of every American to the WHO, it starts with the death of Roe. It does. Because Roe is not about abortion, it's about medical privacy. Fucking hell. So they scratched out this part. Before taking any action based on such reports, WHO shall consult with and attempt to obtain verification from the state party in whose territory the event is allegedly occurring in accordance with the procedure set forth in Article 10 to this end. Okay, this was the part that stopped us, this little section right here. So it goes, WHO may take into account reports from sources other than notifications or consultations and shall assess these reports according to established epidemiological principles and then communicate information on the event to the state party in whose territory the event is allegedly occurring. So a disease, swine flu spreads out of, Malaysia or something like that. And before they had to reach out to that country before moving on any of the information gathering, and basically make them aware, like let them say whether or not it's true, instead of just informing them that, hey, we have this genome, we have these death cases, we have this stuff, and apparently it's happening in your area, do what you will, and you're part of this charter, so get to work on it. This has nothing to do with the United States. Again, okay. Within 24 hours of receiving information, they added that part. WHO shall request, in accordance with Article 9, period, verification from a state party of reports from sources other than notification or consultation of events which may constitute a public health emergency of international concern. They don't give a rat fuck if you're, if you have a disease that's not spreadable, if you have a cancer cluster. This is all about fixing the gaps in the system that occurred during COVID and because of how China handled it and swept it under the rug. That's why this within 24 hours, but like quickly. Okay, then they added this little subsection. Within 24 hours of receiving a WHO offer of collaboration, the state party may request, may request additional information supporting the offer. May request additional information supporting the offer. The offer of help, by the way. WHO shall provide such information within 24 hours. Then 48 hours have elapsed since the initial WHO offer of collaboration. Failure by the state party to accept the offer or collaboration shall constitute rejection of the purposes of sharing available information with states parties under paragraph 4 of this section. Well, let's go to paragraph 4. That's this part right here. The state party does not accept the offer of collaboration within 48 hours. WHO shall, not may, but shall, when justified by the magnitude of the public health risk, when justified by the magnitude of the public health risk, immediately share. It's going to be dear God, there's going to be an epidemic of sharing. Share with the other state parties the information available to it, whilst encouraging the state party to accept the offer of collaboration by the WHO. And they struck this part. See this line right here? And this is, Jesus Christ, they're striking through this specifically because of China. This is specifically countering how China handled COVID. Whilst encouraging the state party to accept the offer of collaboration by the WHO, taking into account the views of the state party concerned. They just said, well, China doesn't think the help is necessary, and they don't think there even is a disease, and so they're going to encourage them to take the help, whether they and do it publicly, which is really what it's about. Okay. Subject to 2 of this article, they shall send to all the states, parties, and appropriate blah, 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 or which is available to the public domain. So they added this OSINT aspect, the open source intelligence aspect of modern life. Now people post shit like that doctor who first posted stuff about COVID in China and then disappeared and then ended up dying of COVID. That dude, they didn't incorporate his posts even as COVID unfolded in the country, in the world. they didn't take his post, the WHO didn't take his posts as part of their case because of previous language in this treaty before. They're taking it out. All right. So now they're removing that part. The WHO shall communicate information to other state parties that might help them in preventing the occurrence of similar incidents. All this is they're removing all the hush language that the CCP used. That's it. The rest of this has been around. Here's some more. WHO determines, this is another step that they take. The WHO determines it is necessary for such information to be made available to other state parties to make informed, timely risk assessments. All they're saying is that they let other countries know what's going on with you if you don't. We always, the United States, UK, Canada, fucking Mexico, everybody, Spain, Germany, all these countries, with the exception of Russia and China largely, if they have a problem, they ask for help, and we admit that it's there, and we do something about it. We have a ginormous, like, we budget for this as a regular part of our system. They budget more money to hide any of this shit because they think it's embarrassing, both Russia and China. And that's what this is about. That's 100% what all these changes are about. And then here you go. New. This is a new section of it. WHO shall annually report to the Health Assembly on all activities under this article, including, so they're going to have a once-a-year report and catch up on, okay, we had the swine flu outbreak, it busted up, they had to kill a bunch of chickens and pigs, and this happened, they managed to handle it, that was good. And then there was this other thing, we're keeping an eye on this one infection that might jump over, we're hoping not, but we're giving you guys this genome for it, so if you can come up with something, if it does make the jump, we'll be able ahead of the game on that. Like normal, this is just adult shit. Shall annually report on the Health Assembly on all activities under this article, including instances of sharing information that has not been verified by a state party or whose territory and event may constitute a public health emergency of international concern is or is allegedly occurring with the state parties through alert systems. So China doesn't have to tell the truth. If we have enough stuff because it comes out on the internet and people are saying, holy shit, a bunch of people in my town are all dying from this stuff and it's verifiable and you can see their cell phones stopped going online and their bills stopped getting paid and they're digging a giant mass grave because of these people who are sick, and like, we don't have to ask your permission to tell everybody. Let's see. This is, I know this, public health emergency of regional concern or intermediate health. Okay. Determination of public health emergency, international concern, and then public health emergency of regional concern or intermediate health alert, which is there's something problematic hopping from region to region, or that it's not just a national thing. It's happening in Vietnam, around the Chinese border, and and has maybe spread up into India or something like that. And it's not like individual states might not be aware of how many cases there are because it's right at a border region. That's a real problem. How would you get after that? We've only got 6 cases. Yeah, they've got 6 cases, and they've got 24 cases, and yesterday you each had 0 cases. And then the next day they're like, well, we only have 50 cases. And yeah, they have 57 cases, and they have 112. Like, it's been 2 fucking days. Let's get on this shit. You're a border region. Okay, so here we go. That a potential or actual public health emergency, this is potential or actual, this is, again, early warning systems, notify all states and parties and seek to consult with the state party in whose territory it arises, and may, in accordance with the procedure set forth in Article 49, seek the views of the committee established under Article 48 hereafter in the Emergency Committee. The Director General determines, quote, and the state party are in agreement regarding the determination that the event constitutes a public health emergency of international concern. Again, this is not a problem America has or the UK has or the West has or fucking almost anybody else has. And it's certainly not a problem China has to have. They just do because of who's running the country right now. They're brooming a lot of that shit, which is why it looks draconian to these assholes. But ultimately, what are they doing? What are they saying these countries can't do? They can't hide the information from the rest of the world. That's it. Information provided by the state party, quote, and then they added by other state parties available in the public domain or otherwise available under Articles 5 through 10. So if it shows up on the fucking internet and your public is clamoring for it, but you have Erdogan or one of these assholes decides to hide it from the world because he doesn't want, he's like the mayor of Sharktown, and he doesn't want people to be aware of it and tourists to keep coming. He can't hide the secret. Okay, so new 6. This is another part. And if this is getting boring, I'm sorry, but this shit is driving me nuts. We did this with the Paris Accord as well, and all of it shall help, maybe better, good thing if you can. It'd be nice, yeah. Where an event has not been determined to meet the criteria for a public health emergency of international concern, but the Director General has determined it requires heightened international awareness and a potential international public health response, the Director General, on the basis of information received, may determine at any time to issue an intermediate public health alert to state parties and may consult the emergency committee, by the way, which we're a part of, which all the big countries are a fucking part of, which we have like veto power on all these, like fucking hell. A regional director may determine that an event constitutes public health emergency of regional concern and provide related guidance to state parties. Again, because it's Asia or the Middle East or North America. We have a regional problem. It's spread to Mexico and Canada, but we think it's going to be contained because it's a fucking wheat blight, right? And we've figured it out. It's due to some particular thing, right? It's not going to spread overseas because it can't travel that well or whatever. The WHO shall offer assistance instead of collaborate. They took that word out. That's us taking that word out, by the way, because the idea was that they were in China's pocket. They were collaborating. I mean, she just fucking accused him of collaborating with China to a state party. The state party shall accept or reject such an offer and assistance within 48 hours. In the case of rejection, such an offer shall provide it to WHO its rationale for the rejection, which WHO shall share with the other state parties. Why aren't they doing something about this? They don't think it's a big deal, and here's why. Okay, or what the fuck is wrong with them? It shall, instead of may offer, because you don't want to leave it out because it's an emergency. The state party shall accept or reject such offer within 48 hours, and in the case of rejection of such an offer shall provide the WHO its rationale for rejection. They had double of that, okay. And in the event of a denial, it shall provide its rationale for the denial of access. That's the thing. They have to make a statement. And this, again, this is all about China's response. They have to make a statement saying why we're not letting the WHO come in and help us with this. And as the biggest financial provider for the WHO and the country with the largest Center for Disease Control like entity on the fucking planet, America will never be at a point where we have a reason for this. I love when Hal says fucking hell. It just drives me crazy. The deployment of temporary recommendations may include. Recommendations. Dear God. This is like Mao's book of little red recommendations. The deployment of expert teams as well as health measures. We'll send some experts in to help you if you don't want to pay for this. If it's a budget thing, we have people. Okay, and then there's this part, new 3. In developing temporary recommendations, temporary recommendations. Ain't we lucky we got them? Temporary recommendations. The Director General shall consult with relevant international agencies such as the ICAO, the IMO, and the WTO, the World Trade Organization. These are like all these so you don't fuck up business. They're still going to talk to the mayor of Shark Island. They're still going to talk to him first. All right. In order to avoid unnecessary interference with international travel and trade as appropriate. Yeah. Unnecessary interference with international travel and trade as appropriate. Additionally, temporary recommendations should allow for the appropriate exemption of essential healthcare workers and essential medical products and supplies from travel and trade restrictions. I think that's a great idea. And it's nice that we added that. Okay, new 4. Here's a whole big thing. In implementing healthcare measures pursuant to these regulations, Article 43, state parties shall make reasonable efforts, taking into account relevant international law, to ensure that contingency plans are in place to ensure healthcare worker movement and supply chains are facilitated in a public health emergency of international concern. There'll be plenty of masks and ventilators and all kinds of shit, and everybody who's party to the WHO should have enough for their possible needs and a little bit of extra in case it happens someplace and you can stymie it. You can send all your tourniquets to that country. Trade restrictions do not unduly prevent the movement of healthcare workers. That's a thing with Cuba and some countries, because Cuba's biggest export is effectively slave medical labor. Long story. They've got all these extra doctors and nurses, so they loan them out for resources, and those people come back with like more money than they would get at home, but it all basically goes to the state. The repatriation of travelers is addressed in a timely manner, given evidence-based measures to prevent the spread of disease. So take your people back as quickly as possible. If you have a problem, don't strand your people during this thing. Don't, like, work to make measures. Don't leave, I don't know, maybe this is the one U.S.-based one where Trump wanted to leave a bunch of Americans on a cruise ship off of San Francisco because there were, 38 cases, and he didn't want to add that to his case count. Remember that bullshit? Like, that in and of itself, in any sane world, would make him, would disqualify him as a presidential candidate for fucking ever. I don't care if there's 600 Americans on that ship that might get sick and die. There's 38 on it, and that'll add to my bad number of COVID cases. And I don't want to say there are 52 cases in the United States. So, all right. Then, okay, procedures. There's a bunch of these little things they make. Let's see. Due regard to the principles of equitable age and gender and geographical representation. So they're adding that part of it. Because some countries will withhold medicine from their women folk until their men get it, or the elders and older people get it, but you don't give it to the kids. Also, think Gandhi and quinine. If you don't know that story, go look it up. And his wife. And require training in these regulations for participation. At least one member. Members of the emergency committee should include at least one expert nominated by the state party, so they can have at least one person from that country within whose territory the event arises, as well as experts nominated by other affected state parties or the purposes of Article 48 and 49. Affected state party refers to it so they can come in and whatever, for the help that they offer. If there's a team going in, if the state says, yes, we'd like help, there should be, you should include somebody from there, and then other states that do want to help should also be part of the, it's so fucking, this is so baseline. It's just like being a fucking grown-up. If the emergency committee is not unanimous in its finding, any member shall be entitled to express his or her dissenting professional views in an individual group or report, which shall state the reasons why a divergent opinion is held and shall form part of the emergency committee's report. So if you got some big ivermectin report that you want to fucking chuck into this thing, you're allowed to under the new WHO rules. And you can't be shut down for it. You'd think Looney Pants would think, oh, okay, let's go back to what she's saying, and then we'll check in, because there's a Glenn Beck video that covers this as well.
The UN. It's amazing. In Article 12, Section 2.
Article 12, Section 2. Where are we? New chapter. These are the... Okay, Section 2. Amendments to these regulations shall enter into force 6 months after the date of notification referred to in the paragraph 1 bis of this article, except for a state that has rejected these regulations or an amendment thereto in accordance with Article 61. Motherfucker.
Line 6. The language of the current rules is crossed out that say that the United States has the full, or that any member state has the full authority to make a decision. That's crossed out, and instead the Director General Tedros is empowered.
No. Hold on. Lines. I gotta scroll back up and find these. I mean, this is Article 49. Okay, here we go. Article 12. It'll be in. Scroll back up here. There's Article 11. We already went through this part, I think. Yeah, Article 12. Line 6. Yeah, this is the new part. Right, okay, here you go. Where an event has not been determined to meet the criteria for public health emergency of international concern, but the Director General has determined it requires heightened international awareness and potential for international public health response, the Director General, on the basis of information received, may determine at any time to issue an intermediate public health alert to the state's parties and may consult the emergency committee in a manner consistent with the procedures set out in Article 49. Yes, he has the draconian ability to introduce an intermediate report and then consult the emergency committee, of which we are a part.
There's also surveillance opportunities that Tedros will have. That's the new Article 5.
The new Article 5. There is no new Article 5. There's new parts of Article 5. Surveillance. See, Article 5, surveillance, has already been a part of this, because surveillance is looking into surveilling the area. It's a crossover word that sometimes is scary and sometimes is necessary to find out what the fuck is going on. You must surveil all that you command. All right. This capacity will be periodically reviewed through the Universal Health Periodic Review Mechanism, which is, of course, Nazi-like in its creation. Should such a review identify resource constraints and other challenges in attaining these capacities, WHO and its regional offices shall, upon the request of a state party, if we ask, or any other states, provide or facilitate technical support. Again, this is the same. We looked at this shit already. This is the new 5. They can develop early warning criteria for assessing and progressively updating the national, regional, and global risk posed by an event, unknown causes, and sources that shall convey the risk assessment to state parties, and according to Articles 11 and 45, where appropriate, the risk assessment, any country that doesn't have a CDC, the risk assessment shall indicate, based on the best available knowledge, the level of risk of potential spread and risks of potential serious public health impacts based on assessed infectiousness and severity of illness. They're going to say it within 48 hours. They're going to tell everybody, you're supposed to tell everybody if you're a party to the WHO. Following the notification, a state party shall continue to communicate to the WHO by the most efficient means. You're going to email it, and you're going to send the genetic sequence data. Fuck, she's dumb.
Article 6 is on notification.
Oh, yes, by the way, you're watching Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide. Nobody else goes this in-depth. Nobody. Nobody covers these videos all the way fucking through. Nobody. I'm just saying. They use little bits for lulls. They lull farm. I don't do that.
We
like and subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show, infotainmentwars.com. You don't need documents when you have memory.
only have 24 to 48 hours to register our disagreement. But this is what I want people to know, Dan.
No. All right. This is because we do this shit all the time. You don't think we can handle it in 24 to 48 hours? What do you think? We don't have the bureaucracy in a federal government the size we do? We have an active CDC and NIH and active CDC and NIH satellites at all the major medical facilities and all the hospitals and the universities that study this kind of shit all the fucking time.
For the last 2.5 years in America, we haven't been ruled by laws. We've been ruled by emergency powers.
Fucking hell. All of the emergency powers we have are created under the Constitution, are constitutionally valid. I mean, common welfare, anybody? Common defense, general welfare, common defense. Both of those things apply to weather, disease, all kinds of stuff. And by the way, we had, all during this fucking thing, states' rights throughout.
White House has emergency powers.
Right.
Yesterday, an article came out. Joe Biden is extending his emergency powers through July of this.
Oh my fucking God. They've been asking for it because of Title 42. That's what this is. Oh God. Jesus, these people.
Year, governors took emergency powers. Mayors took emergency powers.
Right.
No, they used emergency powers because there was a fucking emergency, you tool.
Imagine if it's one crazy wild dictator at the top of the WHO who's in the back pocket of China. I already get it, Michelle. You're painting this picture, and I can't.
You're an idiot. That's not what this is. As a matter of fact, it requires, we already meet these standards. These are our standards. China does not and did not. That's how we got so fucked by COVID. That did not have to happen.
Say what I am. I'm worried. Let me put it that way to keep it PC, and every American should be worried about this.
PC? Nobody. Yeah, I thought you guys were like tougher than that. What you mean? You don't want to? I think you means FCC.
And when, the next time somebody calls you a right-wing conspiracy theorist when you talk about globalists trying to take over,
and don't be afraid to go, Jew,
and run it in a new world order, this is the beginning right here.
No, it isn't. Stupid. The end of Roe is the beginning of that. If you want to put an RFID chip in Americans, the way you do it is you get rid of Roe v. Wade.
They want to give power to the WHO, and
no, they don't. But yes, the power of the WHO to give recommendations and suggestions.
One guy who's controlled by China. Michele, I'm running out of time, but thank you so much for
no,
coming
he isn't.
on.
Again, all of these counter China.
Laying all this out. I know you've been out speaking about it. You've been posting videos.
Is there somewhere people can go? Can they follow you on Instagram? Go ahead and promote whatever you want.
Somewhere where everything that you've laid out that people could find? Is it on a website, on your social media?
Yeah, it's on Michele Bachmann is fucking batshit.org. I'm kidding, it's .com. I'm not going to do anything for free.
Where can they go where you've been laying all this out?
I'll make sure that you have all the addresses for this, but there's...
Yeah, I'll add you the phone tree there, Danny. And anytime, what we do is we text 911. That means everything I say from this point on is important. And as soon as you give me your number, I'll type 911 in it, and that means you have to return all my calls. It's something I learned from what I think the WHO is doing.
3 great articles that I can send to OAN that you can post. People can go to the Capitol switchboard and call for their U.S. senator.
Yeah, and their senator will have to waste a bunch of fucking time going, you're talking out of your ass. That's not what this does at all. Why are you siding with China in this?
Yes.
House member. We need to demand that these...
By the way, a lot of what these changes do and why it adds must have a meeting with the emergency council before he does certain things is to limit Tedros's powers in regard to the World Health Organization if he would want to side with one country over another. They curtailed his ability to just act unanimously as an individual.
Amendments be withdrawn, and we need to demand that if the vote happens this week, that the U.S. Congress brings it back into the Congress, and they need to debate it, and they need to vote on that.
No, they don't.
Yes, and we don't have much time for that, but if we can at least get it to where it has to come to a full vote, and we have that red tsunami we're going to have in November,
nope,
it'll look a little different when we conservatives vote on it next year. Michele Bachmann, thank you so much. Current Dean of Robertson School of Government over at Regent University and former Congresswoman. We appreciate you for always being bold and standing up for America first.
Yeah. Now, don't expect her to read any fucking thing.